All right, I don't know how to fade that song out yet. I am here with PSA Sitch. I actually was calling you PSA Stitch for the longest time before I realized, oh shit, I'm dyslexic.
I think like half the population has done that.
Stitch is more catchy, isn't it, than Sitch?
Well,
Because it's short for situation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Stitch is, Lilo and Stitch, so I can't do that.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I wonder if I'm going to get a copyright strike for that song, but I can't resist the song intro now. So, we are going to talk a bit about ideologies and politics. I think a lot of your videos are political in nature. I came across, just to give some of my background, I didn't discover your channel until Sargon had mirrored one of your videos. And then I found your channel with a lot of other people. So I'm not one of those people that found you before. I had listened to a stream you did with Dangerfield, and you said that it took you like a year to get 100 subs, which I am
like 7 months to get 100 subs.
Yeah, which I am familiar with. That's kind of been my path as well, which I think is interesting. But so I didn't discover you pre everyone else discovering you, which you're still a relatively small channel in comparison. But a lot of people think you're going to go places. But a lot of people really like your videos because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of sizzle that I think is interesting. Yeah, exactly. But the thing that drew me, because I'm such a huge nerd, is you really seem to understand like how people think, like modern psychology, like a lot of the things that I really wish a lot more people would understand. So I was like, I watched a couple of your videos that were super smart, that were probably lower view counts. Well, I don't know about the one about free speech. I don't know the name of the video. You reference the Vietnam era in that video. What is the name of that video?
Oh, the SJWs are still not liberals.
Yeah, okay. That video was very, very smart and seemed to understand the entire political spectrum. And you did another.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And you did another video that was about the YouTube ad apocalypse that went really deep, and it was surprisingly very little views by comparison to your other stuff. But I thought that video was
before, like it had like 100 views.
Yeah. Oh man. I had a similar experience. I did my slut shaming video that I probably spent a week editing that thing, and I put it up and it did absolutely nothing. And then I think 3 or 4 months later, some other big YouTuber uploaded a video that it started getting shared in the end of that video, and it shot up to, I think it's at like 13,000, 14,000 views, but that happened overnight. So I'm assuming you've experienced that as well.
Oh yeah, it was just I don't know if you, like, it was like with my second Don Lemon video, I spent so long editing it, didn't do the, I mean, it did all right. And then like right before that, I had the little Google memo video that I knocked out in a day, and that one gets 50,000 views. It's like whatever.
Yeah. So what would you consider your political designation? Have you made videos? I don't think you've mentioned that in any of your videos.
Well, I've said in the one that you're talking about, the Vietnam War one, that I'm a liberal, and then I have the one video. What's it called? It's like a plea to the left from a liberal, where I'm trying to tell the SJWs why violence is bad, which you think you wouldn't have to explain, but that's just the culture we live in. So I would definitely. Well, I don't know. It's weird because I used to consider myself like really far left liberal, but now it's like I'm like you. I'm in the center now all of a sudden.
I tell people all the time that emotionally I'm a liberal because I have the desire to help people, and I have the desire for more fairness in society. I think there are certain inequities that bug me, but like politically I am a centrist. I do understand the conservative part of the equation, and I respect that they have a good argument. Where when I used to be in the liberal bubble. I don't know about you, but I now that I understand even understand their argument, I feel like, okay, well, that's a pretty good argument. Were you ever in the so-called liberal bubble?
Oh, sure. I was, I grew up. I grew up in a very liberal area of the country, so I'm
Yeah.
definitely in the liberal bubble. Most people I knew were liberal, and I know it's kind of weird because I feel like personally, when it comes to my personal life, I'm more conservative in terms of you need to have self-responsibility and do things on your own. But when it comes to a government, I'm more liberally minded because I guess I'm viewing it as like a group versus an individual kind of thing.
Yeah. So where your philosophy and your ability to really understand, multiple perspectives is evident in your videos. How did you acquire that?
Well, I was just born very smart, I guess. I'm just lucky.
No, that's not. How did you go from the liberal bubble to being able to understand both sides?
Well, it's kind of funny. A lot of it has to do, well, I did major in psychology, so that probably helped somewhat. But
Mm.
a lot of it's just that when I was growing up, whenever I would complain about someone to my mother, she would always be like, no, no, you have to think of it from their point of view, because she's like this big hippie, 70s boomer hippie or 60s. And so she kind of just like ingrained that way of thinking into my mind growing up, which was very annoying as a child, but I guess it's helped me now.
So what did you learn in psychology? I sometimes people talk about psychology and I feel like they think Freud, and I think Freud is like so out of date by
Yeah.
by psychology standards. Bottled up aggression and the subconscious driving subconscious urges. People always want to talk to me about the id and the superego and all that stuff, and I don't even think of psychology like that anymore. Is that
Yeah, I don't think most people in the field do either.
no? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's
like
kind of like a stereotypical view of psychology that I don't think
right,
exists.
right. Well, I think with Freud, it's he's still credited with creating that whole concept of the unconscious mind,
Hmm.
or to really elevate that concept, which I think is definitely true. I mean, I don't know how much of the id and superego stuff really get into, but
Right.
I don't know. In terms of in terms of how you're asking me how do I see beyond my own bias or whatever.
That's
I
exactly
don't
what that's
I don't know how to answer that question. It's just practice. You just have to tell yourself, okay, I need to be objective. I need to look at things as objectively as possible. And I don't know, for whatever reason, this was just something I focused on growing up. So
so
I just try to detach myself emotionally from these kinds of things.
So I think a lot of the reason I had such like I was deep in the liberal bubble and I had very much like a red pill moment. I read Jonathan Haidt and he was the first one that kind of made me see, okay, there's really there's really these different moralities and I'm just trapped inside this one morality and I can't really see anything else. So
Mhm.
I think I assume everyone kind of has that red pill moment, but I guess you didn't have that red pill moment. It was just
Well, I when you say I had the red pill moment in terms of looking at the flaws of the the Democrat Party, or the liberal ideology, was when what's her name, Justine
mhm.
Sachayo, I don't know, whatever her last name was, the girl who sent out the tweet about she's going to Africa, hope she
Yeah.
doesn't get
Did
AIDS.
you did you read? I can't remember the guy's name. The So You've Been Publicly Shamed. Have you read that book?
No, but yeah, I know that he talks about that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I know her. I know about her a lot. Yeah. So go on.
Yeah, so that, to me, that kind of broke my my brain, my mindset, because before that I was very smug leftism, like liberals are smarter than conservatives. I was like this
Totally. Me
total.
too. I thought they
Yeah, I
had
was like,
like mental illness or something.
well, I wouldn't go that far, but I just thought like, like, oh, if you're smart, it's because you're, if you're liberal, it's because you're smarter. And now it's like, no, 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 no. It's just people. The way I'm looking at it now is just most people don't choose to be liberal or conservative. It's just thrust upon them by life.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree with that. So yeah, poor Justine Sacco. I think maybe she's. I don't know. I read that book, Why You've Been Publicly Shamed, and I don't know how she's doing today. But that's funny that the publicly shaming campaign is still going strong on Twitter. I think every single day.
Yeah, well, that really affected me because the joke she made was like, I used to make jokes like that all the
Oh,
time.
totally.
Where like the joke is not, she's not making fun of black people. She make fun of
we
herself. She make fun of being privileged and white, and people are too fucking dumb to realize that.
Yeah. The this is a problem that I think really hurts us too, because people are so afraid to say anything. I mean, I don't have a lot to lose, so I don't really I'm a little, it's easier for me to say stuff, but I feel like people who are in positions of power are really, I mean, they can't even say anything at all.
Yeah, I don't know, it's so baffling to me. Like, I could never have pictured this world. If you had told me in 2008, Obama was elected, if you were to say, okay, 4 years from now, there's going to be like this liberal PC police backlash that's going to totally clamp down on everything, and it's going to be so bad that it's going to actually motivate you, a smug liberal elitist, to like start making videos against them. Like, I would never have believed that in a million years.
So do you see partisanship as a big problem?
Sure. I mean, I think tribalism is one of the biggest problems.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how you would solve that problem, because I think it's kind of ingrained in human evolution.
Yeah, I grapple with that a lot. Your recent videos, well, I don't know if it was your last video, I think it's your video before, is Riley Dennis. You're doing a response video to Riley Dennis. Yeah. And you've done a lot of response videos. You've done Cat Black, and I don't know if you've done ContraPoints yet. I've done 3 response videos to ContraPoints, and I'm super conflicted about response videos because of the psychology stuff. I know that it doesn't change people's minds, and I feel like it just grows the most toxic people's platforms. So I'm curious how you feel about that, or if you have thought about that at all.
Well, I don't know. Like, it kind of, I think, kind of depends on the type of response video you do. Because I know, like, one of the things that was kind of weird was that the thing that really blew up my channel before Sargon was my evergreen videos.
Right.
And I would get like the worst hate-filled, N-word filled comments from those videos. Like, oh my God. And I was like, ooh, I don't know about all this.
From supporters or from
supporters. They'd be like, look at all these monkeys, acting crazy. And I'm like, oh.
I get those comments too, and I'm like, I feel a little tinge, but
yeah. But I don't know, because I think that's kind of why in some of my, I didn't really do it in my Cat Black or Riley Dennis ones. Maybe I've become more cynical and tribalistic. But in my earlier response videos, I would kind of try to pussy out and pull back a little bit at the end. And be like, well, I'm sure, they're a nice person. They're just making mistakes. But, I mean, as you were saying, if you don't know if it helps, I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps them change their mind, if that's, or people. I don't know. I don't know if I can say it doesn't change the mind of anyone that watches their videos. But have you ever tried to get into a talk with ContraPoints?
Oh yeah, totally. Bering offered his channel, and
what happened?
I contacted Chrisiosity because I have a good relationship with Chrisiosity. I don't know ContraPoints at all, and she talks to ContraPoints, so I asked her to float the idea, and he was just not interested at all. So,
how do you like make friends with like the most different politically minded people, more than anyone else I've ever seen?
It's not going to happen for much longer. I think that guy, I did that response video to the one janitor, T1J, And
you did a while ago, didn't you?
I did a long time ago, yeah, and I never made the follow-up. One, because that was one of my poorest performing videos, and I realized that, you got to kind of follow the topic du jour, otherwise your video is not going to get any views and your channel's not going to grow. And I mean, I know we're supposed to say, oh, who cares about views? We don't care. We're above it all. But fuck, I'm spending all this time on these videos for a reason.
Yeah.
Like what's I'm conflicted about is I feel like I have the ability to change minds if I apply myself. But if I don't have an audience, you can't change minds if no one's paying attention.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and like nothing draws a audience like a schoolyard fight, right? So we're forced into this situation, I think you and I both, where you're going to have to start a schoolyard fight. And at the end of the fight, you're going to come out with your message, your after school special about fighting is not good, kids. Let's get along.
So Bering would do it pretty good, I think. Even though he, for some, I don't know, he has this very bad reputation among them because he's mean. But he would make this response video, and then he would, like, the next video would be he's talking to them in a live stream.
Yeah, he's good about that, and I've had conversations with Bering about that. Bering is, he knows that that's my mission is to try to keep open dialogue. They, on their side, in the current tribes, the social justice side, they have, and it's really hard to tell how this developed, but they have this: you can't talk to other people because you're going to grow their platforms. Mentality. So they're obviously thinking about this growing the platforms thing, and they've decided not responding to videos is really the way to suffocate their platforms. Let them do. Go ahead.
I think that they're like that because even though the SJW mentality has kind of dominated the mainstream culture on YouTube, they're getting crushed.
No, I don't think that at all.
SJWs.
I don't think that at all. I don't believe that at all.
You don't think they're getting crushed?
No, not at all. They have all the resources. I've looked at. I am a study of people's Patreons, and the average big anti SJW YouTuber, aside from Sargon, who I think makes like $7,000 a month on Patreon, most of the SJWs are just blowing the anti-SJWs out of the water. Really? Yeah, totally.
Because their sub numbers always seem on average to be a lot less.
Bering's Patreon is 10% of ContraPoints' Patreon.
Huh. Yeah. So they're winning financially, but they're losing on the numbers, is what you're saying.
The views?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe they are losing on the views. I haven't really looked at that. I mean, I look at it more.
Like, who are the big, because you can say, like, okay, Sargon's got 600,000. Bering and Armored Skeptic have 400,000. Shu has 900,000.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm trying to think of like who's comparable to that on the SJW side.
There's H Bomber guy. There's
but he does a lot of non-political stuff too, doesn't he?
I don't know. I'm not fully versed, but. And also, I'm totally open-minded. If I am wrong about this, I am under the impression that they're winning mainstream-wise and they're winning on YouTube financially, which I think is the real metric, because financially means they have staying power.
Well, you might be right about that they're winning financially. That's interesting. That's even more interesting if they're winning financially but losing in terms of views.
Well, the reason I would postulate for that is that a lot of the PC culture has every single outlet available to them in the mainstream media, so they don't necessarily go looking for other outlets, where other people on the conservative side, they're forced to go to YouTube to find some kind of outlet. So,
I think you're 100% right.
So the views could be more on the conservative side because of that. And there is just this kind of I mean, they don't even really see that there is that bias. I mean, we're both talking about our bias and fighting to see past our bias, but they're not even really conscious of the fact that they have this bias. They just think that's how society should be
Well, they're
always.
like us, before we got red pilled. They're still in that liberal bubble, thinking, oh, we're just so much smarter than the conservatives.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They don't think the conservatives even have an argument, which is kind of
Well,
crazy. But
unfortunately, I think for most people, the only thing that ever wakes them up is when the mob turns on them. That's the only time they go, "Oh, okay, I finally get it now."
yeah. Do you have thoughts on this words or violence thing? Because I think so much of it like can be reduced to that change in society. I grew up on Sticks and Stones,
Yeah, yeah.
and they very much don't have that Sticks and Stones mentality anymore. It's the words or violence crowd versus the Sticks and Stones crowd.
Well, it's weird because it's like I remember before, all the SJW stuff kind of came about, when Anita Sarkeesian was really like, the only one or the big one. Her big emphasis was on agency. Everything she did was about agency and power. And now it's completely shifted into giving your opponents agency and power. Because if they say something to you that upsets you, you have no control over your own emotional reaction. So it's like this bizarre reversal.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. The I'm not convinced that they even know that they're doing that though. Like
Well, yeah, I mean, if they did, assumingly they wouldn't do it if they knew that.
I don't. Maybe they would do it even more. I don't know.
You think?
What was your take? Because you brought up Anita Sarkeesian, and I'm sure you were watching the VidCon exchange where she was. I mean, it seemed so patently obvious to everyone that she was the one with power. She was the one on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they turned Sargon of Akkad into this, like he was the one with all the power, even though
Well,
he's
because,
just
yeah.
sitting in the audience silently, not saying anything.
Well, that's kind of why, the same thing. People were saying that they thought Trump winning was going to help quash the SJW stuff. And to me, I'm like, no, it's going to do the opposite because their entire power, their entire narrative is based entirely on victimization. Like, and victimization and guilt, that's all they have.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you have that situation with Anita, she has to pretend like Sargon is the one with the power because otherwise she just looks like a bully. She just looks like an asshole.
Oh, totally. So, have you read any of the psychology, social psychology on this victim culture stuff? I did a video on it. I'm not sure if you watched it or not, but I'm curious if you think about that stuff or have read any stuff on it. I mean, people talk about victim culture in kind of the meme way, but there actually is a couple of social psychologists that have done some scholarship on it and have kind of laid out exactly what's going on and how it does come back to that sticks and stones versus words or violence.
Well, I mean, I haven't read any official literature. I have my own opinions because I'm a smart person and I can come up with my own opinions.
God, I'm so fucking jealous of that, to be honest with you, because that's amazing. That's amazing. Like, I always assume that people are just reading the same things that I'm reading, but I don't. I guess maybe I'm just not. I don't feel confident enough just to assert something that I just thought of myself.
Well, no, I mean, it's just you're not as egotistical as I am. So you go, okay, I need to like read information about things. I'm just like, no, I can just come up with it on my own.
Well, it's good that you do. I felt the same way about Sargon of Akkad. I actually talked to Sargon of Akkad at VidCon, and I was just amazed at nah, he hasn't read any of the same stuff I've read at all. He's just like come to this.
Well, seems like he reads a lot of stuff, though. At least he says he reads a lot of stuff.
He does, and he's pitched me some books that I've read that just feel way out of date to me. I mean, they're very good at giving you a bird's eye view of like how a liberal thinks or how a conservative thinks, but they don't really give you any of the currents. Like a lot of the current books have a lot of data and studies and stuff like that in there, which I feel is very helpful in discovering, if they are just talking shit or not. So, I mean, I'm an empiricist. I want to see the evidence, and I'll change my mind according to the evidence. But it seems like they're getting how society works pretty dialed in, and I often wonder if it's getting to the point where, elites will start using this kind of stuff to their advantage. I mean, are you kind of a political junkie? I guess I really haven't asked.
Oh, I mean, yeah, all I do is basically do videos and watch the news and do other work.
So you were paying close attention to the election then?
Yeah.
What was your take on Hillary versus Trump and what was going on?
I mean, I think, a lot of people were saying that they think Trump won because of, the SJWs and identity politics. And like, people were, they were sick and tired of the PC culture. And I don't think Trump won because of that. I think part of what helped him win was because all the young liberals who are in the Democratic committee and that were advising Hillary, they're pushing this. The Democratic Party is pushing this identity politics. We got to reach out to minorities, platform, because they think that's where the numbers are and that's where the votes are, because that's how Obama won. And it's really bizarre to me because they completely gave up the economic argument to Trump. And, she didn't listen. I think it was either Bill Clinton or maybe it was the first Bush who said, it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah.
It's like
Clinton.
For her to completely give the economy to Trump is such a bafflingly bad decision on her part. And to me, like, that's why I considered myself a liberal, earlier, is for economic issues, not so much all this, crap that's going on right now.
Yeah, Trump was pretty clear about the argument that it's the end of the world. Like, he was taking it's the end of the world, everything's falling apart argument. And there's nothing that doesn't drive people to the polls than saying, like, everything's fine. Like, don't vote, everything's going great.
Well, it's weird too, because Trump made he had one very liberal policy, and no one really pointed that out. And it was, I'm going to tax the hell out of people that ship their jobs overseas. And that's an incredibly anti-Republican, anti-big business policy.
Yeah, definitely.
And no one focused on that. And it was weird because if you would look at his rallies, his big talking points were the wall and that point and the jobs point. Mm-hmm. And all his economic jobs points were very liberal points.
So you've never read Jonathan Haidt or The Righteous Mind? You don't know about moral foundations theory? Okay. I was curious. I read a psychology textbook recently, and he's all over the 2017 psychology textbooks. So this stuff is definitely coming into psychology majors. But you graduated some time ago, I think, maybe. Some
time ago.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to give too much away. He's much younger than me, guys. But
pre-Jonathan Haidt.
Okay, so Jonathan Haidt breaks down morality in these moral foundations that conservatives focus on 6 moral foundations and liberals tend to focus on 3. So they have them kind of at a disadvantage. And one of the things I noticed in the election, and both of the things that you just brought up, the wall and what was the other? The jobs.
The jobs.
Both of those relate to fairness. And everybody, liberal, conservative, centrist, libertarian, they all are for fairness. If you want to start talking about, care for the poor, you're talking to liberals, right? You're not really talking to conservatives. If you want to start talking about, flag and country, you're talking to the conservatives. You're not very much talking to the liberals. And I just felt like Trump was going to just clean house, because 9 out of 10 statements I heard out of Trump's mouth were about fairness, and everybody buys into fairness. Everybody buys into fairness. And I just thought Hillary doesn't stand a chance. To the point,
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, to the point where I bet money on the election, like when people were still saying Trump doesn't even have a chance to win the primary.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah. I bet.
Bank?
No, I just won like a couple $100 off a friend, but it was like $100 that Trump was going to win the primary, and then double or nothing if Hillary won the primary, that he would beat Hillary. And that's exactly how it played out. Mm-hmm. Of course, I bought into everything that everyone was saying on election night. I thought Hillary was going to win on election night. But then when things started changing around, I was like, oh my God, I'm a prophet.
Do you think Bernie would have beat Trump?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything Bernie talked about was fairness.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one of the reasons why I'm constantly pitching Jonathan Haidt and moral foundations theory is because it gives you this unique window into politics. I've been thinking about starting a second channel. There's another channel where the woman does body language. She's obviously read like everything there is on body language, and she watches videos and tells people what the body language is going around. But I have that with moral foundations. Like when I watch things, I think, okay, what moral foundation is this person appealing to? Is it care? Is it liberty? Is it fairness? Mm-hmm. And I was watching Hillary Clinton's speech, and she wasn't talking about anything but herself. I was like, no wonder you're losing here. When people innately vote because, there's something in it for them. And when the politicians come out and appeal to those things, building a wall, we want our country back, right? Our jobs not going overseas, it doesn't seem fair that we're buying products that weren't made by our fellow citizens. Like we're not even in a position to support our fellow citizens' employment. That seems unfair, right? And unfair is immoral. So and this is one of the reasons why I thought Trump was going to win the primary, because he was the only one out there appealing to people's, sense of fairness, and all of the other politicians were just, you can have a conversation that has no moral content at all. We could talk about the weather. That doesn't. Yeah. Like, we can talk about movies. Although when you're talking about movies, you can drift into the morality thing, because you're talking about, was it right for him to do that or wrong for him to do that? So, yeah, politics is all about morality. I know people are going to disagree with what I'm saying, but
I agree with your point on fairness. I think the entire political landscape is shaped right now by fairness, by the 2008 housing crash, mm-hmm. and the fact that there was never a sense of fairness or justice from that. And I think that's, in my opinion, that's Obama's greatest failing, was that, he put Eric Holder as Attorney General. He didn't go after the banks. Right. I understood, why at the time, because they just wanted to, help the economy. But that to me is what's created, both the Tea Party far right conservative and the SJW liberals, is just this, we don't have control over the system.
Right.
And that's a lot of what was going on with Hillary. What you were saying is, all she did was talk about herself. She just came off as this completely fake establishment politician, and Trump came out as, the renegade, the real person, the independent. So,
yeah,
of course he's going to win.
This is another reason why I think Bernie would have won too, because Bernie was also perceived as an independent. So independents could vote either way. And the independents, they are the ones that decide the elections. People are having a field day with centrists now. I think it's a strictly a YouTube phenomenon, because YouTube tends to just attract extremists of every stripe. So now they want the independents. The libertarians want the independents. The vegans want the independents. The anarcho-capitalists want the independents, right? But they have this way of trying to shame you into becoming one of them by, you're weak, or, you're a cuck, you're just selfish. The vegans in the vegan gains debate, they were saying selfish. I didn't have the willpower to do it. I'm like, I got a lot of fucking willpower, but I'm using it strategically here. Like,
It's so bizarre because to me it's the exact opposite. It's like it's a lot harder to say, okay, I'm going to look at every situation, or at least attempt to look at every situation fairly, than to just say, well, I'm going to label myself in one way or the other and look through the world through that lens. I mean,
it is. Yeah, it totally is. Yeah, and they're the ones that, I mean, so many of them are just going with the crowd. I want to talk about you've done a couple videos on trans issues too, and it kind of fits with the moral foundations thing because so you've obviously, I don't know how you know about the trans stuff. You did a super good video on transgenderism and
thank you.
and dysmorphia. First of all, I've seen all of your videos. I recommend people watch all your videos. There's some long ones, but they're very intelligent. So the trans stuff, you've pulled out kind of a miscommunication that's going on. Do you want to spell it out real quick, and then we can go
It's
from
just
there?
that for so long, transgender was thought of as just saying the nice way of saying, someone that wants to transition. And it kind of did mean that for a while, but now because of all the non-binary stuff, it doesn't, because all the non-binary stuff can fit under the transgender label, as well as people who have a, biological condition known as gender dysphoria and want to transition.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that was kind of the problem that was going on in Canada with Jordan Peterson and the Bill C-16 or whatever, is that no one was really explaining to the lawmakers that the bill had nothing to do with people who wanted to transition from male to female or female to male. It had to do with all these people that want to exist as a non-binary thing, which I guess if you want to do that, fine, but that's not something that's been biologically proven. That's just social.
So yeah. So, and this issue is primarily a liberal issue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear a lot of conservatives talking about trans bathroom issues, correct?
Well, yeah, they just want to throw it all out,
Yeah.
most of them.
So that appeals to people's caring desire.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much a moral issue. It's caring for the oppressed, which is kind of where the social justice side has kind of lost their mind. They're like they're going to care for every single oppressed group. The problem with that is so few, like liberals care, conservatives care. They care, but they care a lot less, and libertarians tend to not care at all. So you're really dividing up the electorate when you're focusing on these issues. But I think a lot of liberals care so much, so passionately about these things. And I think one of the big problems that we have is people think everyone thinks like them. So it's mystifying to them that there are people that don't care that much. And they just
and I think it's like people, because of that, they assume that if you don't agree with them, it's like what they know. So if you don't agree with them, it's because you're bad. It's not because you have a different view of things.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're like, how can you feel so passionately about caring for trans people and be this way?
Yeah.
You have to be evil.
Exactly.
There's no other answer. Hey, when I was deep inside the liberal bubble, I don't know if you've ever read George Lakoff. Have you read him?
No, I'm very illiterate.
Really? So I was going to ask you, like, what are your favorite books? What are you reading?
Very
it would have been like Green Eggs and Ham. So do you have a favorite book? Do you have like
oh God, my favorite book is my favorite movie. It's so
Fight
embarrassingly
Club.
not Fight Club. So not intellectual.
Fight Club is a great movie, man. Fight Club is a great movie.
It's the perfect representation of what's going on right now.
Didn't you make
the SJWs or Fight Club?
So expand on that. Did you make, first of all, did you make a video on Fight Club? I think you did.
No, I said it in the Dangerfield stream. I was going to have make a video that was going to show the Antifa people like rioting, and then I was going to have Tyler Durden's speech playing in the background about how there's no Great War and blah
Wow.
blah 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 blah. And I mean, to me, that's what Fight Club's all about. It's about people who are privileged and don't feel anything because they don't have any conflict in their lives. So if they go out and create their own conflict, it's kind of like the male version of cutting yourself. The male version, the alpha male version of cutting yourself. And they have to create this sense of conflict to find purpose in their lives. And to me, that's exactly what SJWs are doing.
There's a really good video on Fight Club, and I thought that it might be your video, but it evidently isn't. And it goes into Fight Club and masculinity. I had read the book Why Gender Matters that really, really explains the difference between, on average between males and females in attitude. And Fight Club so much embodies so much of what they've discovered scientifically in biology. I guess, what's the author's name? I can't remember his name.
Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah, he I guess came up with that just intuitively, but that's a great book and a great movie. I used a clip from Fight Club in that video of aimed at the one janitor. I think you've seen that video. So.
I did. I think I might have left a comment too.
Yeah, totally. So.
I really don't like the one janitor.
So what? So my backstory with the one janitor is I did that video. I think I started telling it. I never finished, but he reached out to me on Twitter about how I would be one of the anti-SJWs, which I'm not really an anti-SJW, but in their
You're one of us.
In their eyes, I am. Yeah. I've made some anti-feminist videos, but I'm in no way like.
It only takes one.
Oh, okay, thank you. So I've stained the name.
Yes.
But so he said I was one of the people that like they could potentially talk to, and I said, well, come on, let's do a live stream. Or actually, I was talking to him about talking privately, but the talking over text is just, it's a minefield of misinterpretation.
Yes.
Finally, I just said to him, I'm like, hey, we're friends on Skype. Like, let's talk on Skype. Let's stop miscommunicating over Twitter. Stop reading my tweets and reading into them something that's not there. But so why? Everyone says to me that he's stupid, and I think that you can look at his content and say that he's stupid. And I've looked at his content and say that he's stupid. In my private messages with him, he is not a stupid guy.
I don't think he's stupid, and it's weird because it's weird that I kind of dislike him the most because.
Well, it's the black thing. You're racist.
Yeah, it's because I'm racist. Exactly. No, because his content is actually not anywhere near as far left SJW.
No, totally.
Steve Shives or Christy Winters or any of those people. He's actually like a lot more moderate.
And he's he's totally not a hater all the way. So what do you got? What do you got against him?
It was a personal reason. It's because that video I made, the one about why you shouldn't punch Nazis, which to me, I don't know if you saw it. It's like, to me, it's like the tamest fucking video on the planet. Like, I'm not insulting anyone. I'm just trying to be like, look, this is why it's a bad idea to do this. And I sent it to all the people I was talking about. I sent to them a link on Twitter. And most of them were just like, whatever, fuck you. And T1J.
How many people were in it? I can't remember.
I sent it to Chrisiosity. I sent it to Michael Rowlands, to Steve Shives.
And you were blocked immediately by Rowlands and Shives.
Steve Shives was the only one that blocked. No, and yeah, Rowlands and Steve Shives blocked me immediately. Everyone else was just kind of like, whatever, you're dumb. Shut up. Except for the two interesting reactions was Christy Winters, who I didn't even send it. I did send it to her, but I didn't even in the video like label her as being an advocate for violence. I just kind of had pictures of her like, having a good time with other people to represent like, look, we're all human. And she took that to mean I was saying that she advocates for violence, and she got very offended at me by that.
Miscommunication, man.
Yeah, exactly. But then T1J, like, he wrote this whole long like tweet about how, and I literally had a clip of him for like 3 seconds in the video with no sound because he made a video saying he was okay with the punching Nazis. So I just have a visual clip of him for 3 seconds. And then he writes this whole long tweet about how, I'm, completely wrong and I'm misconstruing his ideas and blah, blah, blah. And so I respond to him. This is back when I have 50 subscribers. So I respond to him. And it's like, we go back and forth for 3 days with these huge tweets. Like, and
are they, a tweet is only 140 characters.
Well, I mean, like, he has like 10
was it a
tweets.
big font or?
Yes, it was this huge font with just a giant middle finger. But no, he would send like, those 10 tweets, in a row.
Right. So it's a tweet storm, basically.
Yeah, he would tweet storm. And then I would respond with you take the picture of your like 2-page long paragraphs.
So you're trying to get past the communication barrier. You really are.
Yeah, no, like I was legitimately like, and I was being so nice, and I was completely on the defensive, and I was just trying to explain myself. And he was doing to me, this is why he's a huge hypocrite, is because he was doing every single thing that he constantly complains about. He was misunderstanding me. He was taking everything I was saying out of context. He was jumping around, moving the goalpost. And I wasn't even trying to like nail him. I was just trying to get him to understand my position.
Yeah.
And he was just not having any of it. So I think that's why I don't like him, because to me he's very egotistical. If you look at his Twitter, it's like, Jesus Christ. He's just so smug about everything.
For me, that's kind of the game of chess that's interesting me right now, is trying to get them to understand our perspective, or trying to get them to understand another perspective. It is very much a Neo in the Matrix thing. Mm-hmm. Because when you know the various perspectives and can communicate on all of those levels, you really have people at a disadvantage when they're only able to communicate like in one kind of ideology. So
yeah, that's always what people, it's weird when people debate, like they debate their point instead of trying to debate, the other person's point, which is why I think you do, why I like your debates, because I feel like you're actually doing the correct thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I've done some vegan videos. People know. Like I've told the vegans from the get-go, I am more interested in the morality than the veganism, and that like I could care less about it's a better diet for you. It's going to save your life. What interested me in the vegan debates is that they were pitching morality. They came out, they put a shingle up, and they said, we've got a better morality. And I was like, okay, I like to evaluate moralities. Let's take a look. So, but they had a stream. They did a stream. I think Chris Hines is his name. I might be getting the last name wrong. And I'm going to upload it to my second channel later today. I cut it down. It's like 3 hours and they meander a little bit. But they talked about my perspective on this morality thing, because I've done a couple response videos. And it was so awesome that I thought, wow, I'm actually getting through. Like they're able to talk in little bits and pieces about what I actually think, and I'm like nodding my head going, yes, that's right. So
they were talking in a positive way about what you're saying?
Not necessarily. And it was very much motivated reasoning, in the fact that they were like, okay, we're not seeing it from his point of view, and in order to dismantle him, we need to see it in his point of view. So they're like pitching all these ideas about how, these are the right questions to ask him, and we can pin him down. But there was one guy in the stream that was just like, is convinced I'm just making things up as I go along. Like I don't have a consistent worldview. I'm just pulling shit out. Like they're mystified when I say, no, this is the way that I see it. And I have like, it all makes sense when I explain it to them. But
in my experience, that's how you know you're getting through, is once they start saying, oh, no one can actually believe what he's believing. He's just making it up. Like that's how you know they're starting to understand, and they don't want to understand.
No, really? Come on. That's so cynical.
That's been my experience.
That's so cynical. So T1J is deep inside the bubble, yes. Right?
Well, it's weird because it's like him and Contra seem like they weren't. And then like something's happened over the last, 5 or 6 months. Maybe it was Trump getting elected. and it's like everyone's doubled down all of a sudden.
Yeah, I wonder that. They're making fun of me in the chat every time Contra comes up. They think that I have
Why?
a love affair for ContraPoints. ContraPoints, first of all, in my defense, I have no love affair for ContraPoints. Like I am conflicted about making response videos.
You just like his wallpaper.
I think the production value is videos are great. I don't watch
they
them.
are.
I mentioned that I'm a little bit homophobic. So and it's first of all, gays get married. I have tons of gay. I live in Southern California. Okay. Half my friends are gay. Okay. Like
You're basically half gay yourself.
I can't watch guys kissing in movies and stuff. It's too cringy for me. Like I don't want that.
It doesn't make you homophobic, I don't think.
Well, I think homophobic is really the best description for it because it is a phobia. It's like when I go up on a tall building, I am afraid of heights. Okay. Like it's not.
When you go up on tall buildings, you're afraid a gay guy is going to
I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm afraid there's a gay guy that's going to skydive down. I'm going to be all trapped. No, but phobia it's an unconscious fear. Like it's that's why I'm like phobia is like the best word for it because it's like if I could consciously turn it off, trust me, I would. But I would go hang gliding and skydiving and all the things that I want to do. But the fear of heights is keeping me from doing so. But ContraPoints, yeah, he seemed really like he did understand, but sometimes I think it's like he's kind of amassed a lot of status. Like he's definitely the high point over there for them. Mm-hmm. Like it's him, Sean and Jen, H Bomber.
I don't understand the Sean and Jen at all. Like I understand Contra because he has, as you said, he has good production, but Sean is so boring and so full of shit, in my opinion.
He's the one content creator that I actually wish that there was a 3 times speed on the player so I could actually like listen to his videos. Yeah. So, but they, like I have them, I see tons of tweets go by that are like, this tweet is not available. And it's not available because I have ContraPoints muted, right?
You?
So it's not my obsession with ContraPoints. It's the world's obsession with ContraPoints. And I'm just being dragged into that obsession as much as...
Wait, why did you mute him?
Because he's just... There's nothing of value there.
Did you just unfollow him?
No, I'm not following him. Like I've unfollowed him. I've muted him. But so I can't, first of all, I'm following a ton of content creators, right?
Yeah.
You follow a ton of content, like we're all in the same business, right? We're like colleagues. So I can't unfollow my fellow content creators that are retweeting him and quote tweeting him and all that stuff. So, but I'm like 4 or 5, I see 4 or 5 ContraPoints videos and I don't actually see the tweets because their tweet is unavailable, but I can just see that it says like ContraPoints as the person that's being retweeted.
ContraPoints.
I know. So, the social justice side has done something that I think has been smart in that they don't respond to response videos, and it makes people want to do more response videos, and that more response videos grows their platform.
You think it grows the SJW platform?
Yes, it does. And I don't think it does anything substantial to the content creators. I know that it didn't help grow my channel at all. And I mean, I did 2 ContraPoints videos. I did 1 ContraPoints video, and I did kind of a 3-part ContraPoints video. So I've done 4 videos, which I really think of as just 2 videos. And we watched one of his videos on my Patreon stream because people ask me, what do you think of this? But I don't, he's in the bubble, and the bubble seems to be getting like smaller. Exactly.
Well, it's weird because like have you seen his video on what was it? cultural appropriation?
No, I've seen 2 ContraPoints videos total.
Well, I don't remember when I first saw
Actually,
his
that's not
video,
true. I've seen 3 ContraPoints videos, but go ahead. Sorry.
but you should check it out because it's weird because he actually doesn't take the SJW position. He takes like a sane person position, and he's like, oh, the whole idea of the cultural appropriation doesn't make sense the way the SJWs are using it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like one of the first videos I saw of him. I'm like, oh wow, this guy like is moderate. And he had some other ones that were more moderate. So I'm like, oh, okay. And it's funny, I actually sent him, when I was a very small channel, I actually sent him a very nice letter, like, oh, I'm so happy that you're like a moderate SJW who's actually funny. And then it's like, oh, that's going to come up to bite me, now because he's completely gone in the other direction.
Do you think it's the incentive is financial, or do you think it's just like hormones destroying his brain? Because I think I think he's transitioning now. So,
well, that caught me by that whole thing caught me by surprise.
Me too. Yeah.
But I think it's 2 things. I think it's Trump winning kind of made everyone
Crazy.
lose more of their mind.
Yeah.
And then I think it's also him becoming more popular. It kind of puts you in this weird mindset.
Yeah, it does. People, I mean, I know I have a substantially smaller audience, but I know my audience is always sending me smart stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be very easy for me. I mean, I tend to read it all, and I have viewers on both sides. But it would be very easy for me just to censor that down to, okay, this validates my point of view. You know, this is smart and validates my point of view, so I'll keep to that. I mean, in the vegan thing, I am genuinely trying to understand that guy. Ask yourself, the vegan YouTuber, ask yourself. I'm trying to understand his perspective. It seems so clear to him, but I really don't see how. I just don't see how it works. So,
well, here's my question to you in terms of that is, why do you even accept their premise in the first place about naming the trait?
To play along, man, to take up the mantle.
So it's just because it's just like an intellectual exercise.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's my problem with it, is that they're creating this, in my opinion, this completely bullshit premise.
Oh, totally.
To try to trap people, and it's like, what's the point of this?
Needlessly is in there, stab a human to death. It's so moral. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. But I don't know if you, in my first video on it, I come at it in a very hyperbolic, I mean, I give it this is ridiculous treatment, but I do it in the opposite direction. I'm like, I'm going to take this take it seriously, like it's something very serious, and I'm going to be very serious, but I'm still going to crack jokes all the way through.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's just they're making a moral argument, and I thought that was interesting. Because they're asking moral value. They're saying, what is the moral value?
I feel like, because I kind of agree with you in your live stream with Distributus, where you're like, I'm a very nuts and bolts kind of guy. Because for me, my morality is like, what is practical, what is pragmatic, what is helping us get forward, and for me, when I hear the vegan question, it's kind of like, there's no answer to that. It's a completely subjective question. It's like when you hear someone trying to debate, like, I will prove or disprove the existence of God. It's like, you can't. It's just whatever.
It's boring, right?
Exactly. So for me, it's the same thing with the vegans. It's kind of like, there's no answer to the question they're proposing, as much as they like to pretend that there is.
It's also a little bit that one of the reasons why I focused on it was because it's a compliance tactic. You've already admitted you don't read any books, but there's a great book that you should read called Influence.
Uh-huh.
And he goes through that book and breaks down all of the various compliance tactics that they use in advertising and psychology, warfare. They use compliance.
So you're just trying to sucker people in. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm trying to dispel the compliance tactic that he has created.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying.
He's created a compliance tactic, and it's like people, they're very keen on the consistency thing. They want, Like they want you to admit that your morality is inconsistent, and therefore, in order to make your morality consistent, you have to do this thing. And consistency is one of the most, and they obviously they don't know this. They don't know any of this. They're just doing it intuitively. Like as human beings, we know that inconsistency is bad, right? We label people, they're flip-floppers, right? Like we don't like inconsistent people, you know?
Do we think that's biological, or is that just social?
Biological.
You think it's biological?
Yeah, totally biological. Because if you think about it, as human beings, we are searching for trustworthy cooperation partners for reciprocal altruism. It's a very practical thing, right? And and who is the person that you don't want to reciprocate with? Inconsistent people, right?
That's true. That's a good point.
Like what the fuck do you want? I was thinking, hey, I would help you, move your house, and then you would help me. Oh no, I changed my mind. Okay,
that's true. I never thought about it like that, because I used to always think that the consistency thing was more recent, because we used to live in a world where power was determined by power, and it's only recently that it's determined by fairness. So, like, I don't know if you saw it, all the like when the Russia was going into the Ukraine, and there's all these Vice videos back before Vice, when Vice didn't suck, and they had all these videos of people, on both sides, and it'd always be very interesting to me to see the Ukrainian separatists. They'd always try to like blame the Ukrainian people that want to stay in Ukraine as being the ones that are taunting them into starting violence. Like both sides has to create this fake argument that the other side is victimizing them.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, but like that's a new concept for humans, because it used to just be like, whatever, if you had the power, you just did whatever the fuck you wanted.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that changes with consistency though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But it is an interesting thing. Consistency isn't the only thing in the book. There's all kinds of compliance tactics that people use. I'm just bringing up the consistency because the name of the trait thing is focused on the consistency. And I constantly tell people, I'm like, yes, I believe in consistency. I don't believe in foolish consistency, because ultimately, like if we're all going to be consistent, right? We have things like slavery forever. We have things like, prohibition forever. Like people need to be able to change their mind. And if you live your life, that consistency is, there is a time when you want to flip flop. Like when the smart thing to do, when the smart money is on flip flopping. So
well, they would say though, there's a difference between changing your mind and holding inconsistent views at the same time.
Yeah, I know they would. That's called post hoc reasoning. Yes, they would find a way around it. I guess I should practice some of that. So I should put some of that razzle dazzle on my consistency argument as well. I shouldn't call it flip flopping. Huh?
Well, I mean, I agree with them in theory that consistency is very important, but the problem goes back to what I said originally. It's just that the premise they constructed, was constructed backwards. It's not like
totally.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like they had that thought and said, "Oh, I should be vegan because I'm a moral person." It's like, no. I need to justify this to the world and trap people.
I know. And first of all, the world is very susceptible to logic these days. So let me make sure logic is in here. Like, 1,000 years ago, it just would have been God said so.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because the God said so is still working today with the bacon thing. Like they might just they would go faster.
Get all those Jews.
Yeah, if it would go faster if they just went back to the God thing. They just need to step up their game. Logic is a poor device for changing people's minds. So the
vegans need to get on the Jordan Peterson train, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So are you a Jordan Peterson fan? You haven't made a Jordan Peterson video?
I made I made a little short video on his is this a picture of Muhammad speech, and I made a little animation for it.
Cool. So
I like him a lot.
Yeah. I don't think I haven't made any. I was talking about making a Jordan Peterson video, but I never made one. He's like huge now. So I'm just kind of looking through my notes. I did get I did get a super chat. I should probably read it. I'm bad about that.
Probably should read it.
Keezy Estrada says, and I'm trying to get better reading. Maybe you know from my Bearing stream that I'm a shit reader. So, hey, Dr. Manhattan, Nice Shades, tell Stitch he's a meme magician. Here's $10. Buy a double from In and Out. I think that was aimed at the vegans. That's funny.
I thought double was the Canadian thing.
I don't know. I don't know. We've been talking for about an hour. Do you have anything that we haven't touched on?
I don't know. How do you know that 12-year-old ANCAP kid?
Did you listen to that stream I did?
You did a stream with him?
I did. I did a stream with the.
Oh, I listened to part of it, and I'm like, I can't listen to this.
He was on there with 3 friends, and man, they were coming at me hard. I was like getting beat up in an alley by 4 12-year-olds. It was hilarious.
That's so bizarre. That's so baffling to me.
I should track it down because I've been doing a good job of keeping track of all my streams on my second channel, but it was pretty hilarious. It was pretty fun. He messaged me on Twitter. I didn't know he was like 12 years old, but obviously first of all, I see a lot of comments that are like very offensive in my comment section. I just assume that it's a 10-year-old kid, trying out the F word for the first time, which it takes a lot of the menacing aspect of it out of there. I wonder how.
Hey, fuck you guys.
Exactly. I wonder how many of those death threats that Anita Sarkeesian got were from under 11 crowd.
That really bothers me because they even had Gamergate, the boogeyman gets blamed for that forever, and they're the only people that ever tracked down one of these people that was sending Anita death threats, and it turned out it was not a 10-year-old kid to our surprise, but it was some like mid 20-year-old guy from I don't know, some country in South America for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like they told her about it, and they told the police about it, and guess what? She didn't do anything about it.
No way. Oh my God.
Because she doesn't give a shit.
She doesn't. She really doesn't. I thought the VidCon thing illuminated her true colors quite eloquently. I mean,
oh yeah.
I just didn't. I was totally. I don't know. I was on Sargon's side, obviously, and not just because I like Sargon, but I could not believe the level of unprofessionalness on her part.
Oh yeah.
It just baffled me. I didn't understand why she would do that. But I guess she knew intrinsically that she would suffer no ramifications of it. And
do you think it was that, or just because she's never, to my knowledge, ever debated anyone or had any sort of conversation with someone that doesn't agree with her. So I think she's just completely not equipped emotionally to deal with conflict in that way.
Yeah. I feel the same thing about Francesca Ramsey.
Oh my God.
I mean,
that was so weird.
I hate to say this, but in our culture, you can't really attack blacks or women. And if you go, I know. Well, if you go through life and you never get any kind of criticism or any kind of attack, it's like, you're not ready for it. You have no immune system. You have no immunity.
And that's why I like Jordan Peterson, because he always talks about how you have to work your way, you have to train your mind the way you train your body to handle that kind of stuff.
You do, yeah. There's a really good book.
Yes.
It's called.
Are you my reading teacher?
It's called Anti-Fragile. Well, most of the ideas from Jordan Peterson come from other books. Like he's talking about psychology and psychology studies and whatnot. He's obviously very, very well read. So
yeah.
He's not doing all that shit himself.
Audible or something. I could just listen to all these books.
Yeah. Do you think? Jordan Peterson isn't. These wealth of information comes out of him. All that information is coming from books. He's not. I don't know that he's done his own research or any of that stuff. Are you calling
him a thief?
No,
Is that what's happening?
He's a knowledgeable person, which I think is important. Like it takes a certain amount of intelligence, but intelligence is only going to get you so far. Like really, you're working on building your knowledge base. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So he's a very smart guy. There's a clip, Ajar, one of my subscribers and a friend of mine sent me a clip. There's a clip of Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Haidt on that show in Canada that he's always on. And Jonathan Haidt is my total hero. Everyone knows. And Jonathan Haidt was on a book tour, I think, with Moral Foundations Theory. And he was explaining Moral Foundations Theory, obviously, for the first time. It was the first time Jordan Peterson had heard it. And Jordan Peterson was like, kind of, that doesn't really make any sense. That sounds retarded. Who is this guy? It's a funny clip. I think I have it on my computer somewhere, but he references Haidt's work all the time now. Jordan Peterson does. So
that's cool.
I wonder if I'm sure he remembers that interview, and it's probably the first time that he ever encountered Jonathan Haidt. So, and Jonathan Haidt was such a nice guy. He was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. He's like totally playing. He pulled what Sam Harris did on the second podcast. He was like, let Grandpa talk. Grandpa has things to say. Let him talk about Jesus. Did you watch those podcasts? Did you watch?
I did. I did. The first one is like, it's like insane to get through. But I like
really? Oh man, I love the first one. I'm one of the only people. God. I am a masochist. I am.
Yeah, what's wrong with
I was like, make him say it, Sam. Make him say it.
Well, I didn't know why Sam Harrison did just say, like, look, you can have your definition. Just use a different word.
He was appalled.
Create a different term.
He was appalled.
No.
He was appalled for me, Sitch. He was appalled for me. Yeah, no. It's that first one I've watched multiple times, and I don't think or listened to multiple times.
You were the only person on the planet that has listened to it multiple times.
The second one I couldn't get through. The second one I was like, God damn, why aren't you slapping him, Sam? Slap him a little. Slap him.
Well, did you see when him and Brett Weinstein were on Joe Rogan? I thought that was
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally amazing. Yeah, I'm supposed to actually clip some stuff up for that for my Patreon stream this month, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, that was a great one. So, but let's wrap it up here, unless you've got something really long. You had talked about doing a reading of the Titanic. You want to start that now, or shall we do that the next time?
We'll hold that off for the next time. Leave them wanting more.
So you're on the record calling yourself a liberal?
Yes, I'm on the record calling myself. Well, I guess I'll say I'm a liberal centrist, if that makes any sense.
What about so a lot of people are retreating to classical liberal. I don't do it. I'm a liberal. I tell people I'm a liberal. I'm not embarrassed to say I'm a liberal. I tell them I vote centrist, and I like all liberals are so like not understanding what's going on around them to the point now where I have tons of conservative friends only on the internet. I mean, I'm in California. Okay. So I don't have any conservative friends in real life. I actually do have a couple conservative friends in real life, but they're hard to find around here. But my friends online that are conservative will not accept the fact that I am a liberal. Like they say, no, you understand conservatism. Like you understand how it works. Obviously you're a conservative. I'm like,
wait,
no.
just you understanding them makes you not a liberal?
That's how bad liberals are online. They don't have any idea, they don't understand conservatism to the point they can't even have an intelligent conversation with a conservative. So when a conservative encounters me, able to say, yes, you've got a good point, and I understand that, they think, oh, well, I agree with them just because I understand it. So,
that's really dark and disturbing.
It is. One of my goals is to get people to understand each other. I think it's like I'm a dreamer, man. It's an impossible
you have
goal.
Some lofty goals, my friend.
It's an impossible goal. It's an impossible goal. It is, and that's one of the reasons why I've embarked on it. But I think you should take up the mantle too. I really do. I think
I'm too cynical. I've given up on life already.
Yeah, I'm a little cynical there too. But every once in a while, there's a little ray of hope. little ray of hope comes in. So you want to say any closing thoughts? Your Twitter's on the screen, so people should follow him on
my Twitter.
Yeah, follow him on Twitter, and also subscribe to his channel, which is in the description. But
obviously, you should subscribe to my channel.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Why did you change your avatar? That's the most important thing.
Oh my God. It's like we should just cut it off here and leave everyone in misery.
No, I demand an answer from this. I demand a public answer from this.
I told you on Twitter, and it wasn't. It was.
You weren't joking.
No, it was in honesty. I love doing YouTube. I love doing YouTube, and hopefully, I will be able to make enough money to devote more time to it. My upload schedule is very infrequent because I have various projects that come up that take me away from doing YouTube, and I don't have the time to do it. If I was making more money do it, I could justify the time. And I knew my second channel had got hit, and every single video, maybe 2 videos didn't get demonetized. And I upload random shit on there all the time, so it's got a lot more videos than my main channel. And I thought you were joking. No, after when you said that. Yeah, no, after I saw that, I thought, okay, well, I got to clean it up. I got to clean up my image. And I looked at other popular YouTubers, and I just wanted something that was less like it looked like it belonged in a David Lynch movie. Like people hate to be confused. I love to be confused because I'm a liberal. I am, openness to new. I rank high on openness to new experience. Like
You're just so much smarter than everyone.
I engage in stupid, novelty seeking behavior. Okay. I do not, it's funny that liberals think they're the smart ones, because I think that they do such dumb shit, but doing that, it's like evolution, like, random mutation. Every once in a while it works out, right? 99% of the time it doesn't. But every once in a while you're like, hey, look, we invented a jet engine. It's like,
this is what we meant to do from the beginning.
Yeah, totally. So I cleaned it up, man. I cleaned it up. I tried to make it look more friendly. And I tried to keep people were making fun of me on Twitter. They were saying, I look like, I can't remember who were some of the despicable Republicans going around. They were saying I look like some Republican senator, Ted Cruz, and
I don't see that.
Yeah, they were doing pictures side by side, and I kept thinking, yes, it worked. It totally worked. That's what I was going for.
You were going for the Ted Cruz look? That's what was going on?
Well, I was just going for, I figured somebody is going to, they probably don't demonetize all of your videos without having some human look at it. Right?
I don't know. It's so weird.
It's such
the ones they haven't demonetized for me are like my Riley Dennis response video. You think that would be, or my Cat Black response video? You think that would be the ones they demonetize, right?
Yeah. Well, my thinking was that they really only do eyes on it if they demonetize close to all your videos. Because if they just demonetize a few, they're like, nobody's going to care. They can resubmit if they want to. But if they're taking down an entire channel, that's a big step. And this is all just me theorizing. So, but I just thought if eyes come to my channel, I just want them
to see that nice, friendly, smiling face.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want them to think if a lot of videos were demonetized, I want them to think this was possibly a mistake. Like I put science on the T-shirt. Like I changed my channel to educational.
That's why you did put the science on the T-shirt?
Yeah. I changed my channel to education. Like I feel bad. Like, am I a bad person? Like this is, hey, boys and girls, this is how life works. Okay.
This is how it goes.
If you want to show up and I hate to bring up the Count Dunkula thing. Okay. But have you seen how Count Dunkula showed up in court? Like, dude,
no,
you're going to jail for 20 fucking years. Like, put on a suit, cut your hair, take your fucking nose ring out. Like, do you want to be incarcerated forever? Like there's a point where you have to realize, like, there are forces at work in the world that are bigger than your ideology, right? So
yeah, totally.
I mean, I like, first of all, I'm totally a dreamer. Like I'm idealistic where I can be, but
You're the child of an illegal immigrant?
you, no, come on. I am
An idealist.
I know. Like in John Lennon's Imagine song, that's the kind of dreamer I am.
Okay.
Everyone getting along, I think, is a worthy goal. I think it's completely unachievable, and I'm probably wasting my time, but it's a fun thing. So, well, hopefully, does that answer your question?
That answers my question. I thought you were joking. Honestly, what I thought was like someone, like some attractive girl drew that picture for you and you're just like, oh, I have to use it now.
No, I drew it, and I was going.
I realized when you made your version of me, which was amazing. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize that you were so talented.
Is it still terrible though? I know change is a terrible thing. Change scares the hell out of people, but some people have told me, yeah, it's growing on me now. I like it. So other people are like, no, go back to the old one. But change is tough. It really is. And it's kind of a big change. I mean, I tried to make it the same shape. It's the same proportions as the old one. The hair is a bit different. I mean, I'm blue. Obviously, that helps sell it that I haven't completely changed. So
I just like the manliness of the other one.
Really? To me, that seemed, it's like, it's very vampire. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it seems very goth to me. I know that my goth audience is like, no, go back to the old ones.
Well, in your early videos, you had the little Dr. Manhattan symbol.
Craig saying it's awful in the chat.
And didn't you say you weren't wanting to change your name to like Atomisk or something?
Atomisk was one on the table. Lucid Dreamer, Lucid Dream Punch. No, I've got a. Oh, really? Friended. Oh, man.
Friended.
Yeah, friended is,
in my opinion.
I'm actually, friended is growing on me. I don't know that I can change it now just because so many people are. But I might. I don't know. Like I said, novelty seeking, but I might come up with different characters. We'll see what happens. But well, that just added another 15 minutes. We can. You're welcome on my channel anytime. We can do another stream. We can do another stream on any topic. Yeah. If any news comes up that you want to talk about, I don't know how you feel about streaming on your channel. So I
need to start streaming on my channel at some point.
A lot of people stream on their channels and they do it live, and then they set the videos to unlisted so it doesn't spam up people's feed, which I think is a good system if you've got a very popular channel. My channel's so small and people seem to like my live streams. I've had so many people discover my channel and email me because they loved the live stream. So after that, I stopped setting them to unlisted and I put them in sometimes I set them to unlisted. I put them in a playlist. So that's an option that you could consider. But I mean, you're a smart guy, as I've said.
Well, thank you. So are you.
But yeah, you should do some live streams. And now that your channel's much bigger than mine, so you probably get a lot of. Do you have anything coming up? You said you were talking to some other YouTubers. Do you have anything you want to announce?
Nothing. No, it's all very secretive.
Oh, okay. So, but I'll leave it there. Hey, thanks everyone in the chat. Thanks for the super chats. Actually, I got one other super chat. I should read it. I'm bad about that. This is Pragmatic Culture, and I think I'm actually going to be doing a live stream with Pragmatic Culture. It says, shekels for my dude before y'all peace out, that's a great way to end it. So let me see if I can find how I end this stupid thing. That was a joke, guys. This has actually been great. I've had a lot of fun. Thanks everyone in the chat. Thank you for coming on, and
thank you for having me.
Subscribe to PSA. Take care, everyone.